continuing and concluding chapter 3. Ready? Chapter 3. Okay, so chapter 2, we learned that we have a second soul, which is the neshama, and nefesh elokit, the godly soul, and it is a piece of God. And so we say, okay, amazing. So how do we use it? What is it, right? What does it include? What are the powers of the soul? What is this gift that Hashem has blown into us, right? What is Tahorahi? What is the soul that is Tahor? What is it? So we said that the soul has 10 powers, mirroring the 10 sfirot from which the soul originates. The 10 sfirot of Atzilut. And we named them all, right? As they subdivide into 2 categories. In our soul, right, the categories are referred to as the Sechel category, the Sechel powers, and the Midot category, the Midot powers. So, Chochma, Bina, Da'at, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. And yesterday we learned about Chochma and Bina, right? So before we did that, we learned the relationship between the Seichel and the Midot. We said the Seichel category is called the mothers, right? We got Chochma, Bina, Da'at, birthing, right? As the mother for the Midot. We said specifically Bina, of all 3, Bina really gets mother title most of all, right? Because it's where the point of Chochma, which is Abba, develops, right? As we spoke about how Bina is the development of the point, elongating it, giving it breath, where an idea really starts to become a concept that I can grasp, that I can hold, that I understand. And that's for the koach of Bina. We didn't yet talk about Dat, and we will at the end of today. Okay. Before we talk about Dat, the Alter Rebbe makes this more practical. So we were talking about Chochma and Bina in general, right? As soul powers. And now the Alter Rebbe says, okay, so what do we do with our Chochma and Bina? When we're using a godly soul, we have soul powers. We have Chochma and we have Bina. And through our Chochma and our Bina and our Dat, we will birth emotions. What do we do with our Chochma and our Bina? So we apply our minds to thinking about Hashem. And so the Alter Rebbe, today the Alter Rebbe tells us what sort of thoughts we might have about Hashem. What does it mean to think about, not what does it mean to think about Hashem as a general idea, but practically, right? Thinking about Hashem, what am I thinking about? And so the Alter Rebbe tells us 3 general concepts, if you will, that are all truths about Hashem. Okay? And we can think about any of these ideas. We can think about any idea having to do with God, any truth about Hashem, and you are doing this work of using your Chochma and using your Bina. And again, we'll see that in a minute. And then the Alter Rebbe continues, high level, and then we're going to go inside more specifically. And then the Alter Rebbe continues and says, the Alter Rebbe continues and says that it's not only a general thinking about Hashem and a general birthing of emotion, but as per my specific thought about Hashem, I will generate a specific emotion, because the emotions come from the thoughts. So if I want to have the emotion of love, then I will think about this aspect of Hashem. Which aspect? I'll just jump in for a second and then we'll go back out. So chesed is the emotion, right? I'm going to birth chesed. I'm going to birth love for Hashem. What will I think about Hashem? Which thoughts about God will I think about? I'll think about how Hashem is good. That's always, I'm thinking about Hashem. Right? So if any thought I'm going to think about God, I'm going to ultimately birth an emotion. What if I want to birth the emotion of love towards God? I'm going to think a thought about Hashem having to do with His goodness and His closeness to me, or His goodness and His distance from me. Both of those starting points, thinking about Hashem and His goodness, will ultimately arouse inside of me a feeling of love, of connection, of closeness. When I think about Hashem in His power, in His might, in His greatness, right? And I contemplate on that, then I will end up with an emotion that is more of fear or awe. Again, each emotion, fear and awe, they're different, and we'll see as we go inside. Okay, so again, what we're appreciating is that it's very real, right? My soul is my psyche, right? Through my soul, I be. Through my soul, I manifest, again, all these different aspects of I'm trying to think of the most general word, but ultimately what we're talking about is emotions, right? I manifest emotions. And again, the starting point for emotions is the mind. It's thinking about Hashem in general and thinking about Hashem specifically. So what we're going to look at inside are the general thoughts, and we're going to look at the more specific thoughts. We're going to look at the general emotion, and we're going to look at the more specific emotions that are generated, right, produced by, hi Esther, by the thoughts. And then we're going to talk about dat. Okay? So we'll do it in two parts. We'll stop here in terms of overview, and we'll go inside, and then we'll continue with dat. Okay, so the 26th of Kislev, yeah.
To put it in like a more modern format, so it would be
Great.
like Chachma and Bina are like command central to emotions.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're command central in the Sfirot, right? The Imot, the Chochmah Bina Dat in terms of the Sfirot is also command central and also within us. Yeah. Which is also why they're called mothers, because it's like the Akeret Habayit, right? The Ima is the Akeret Habayit. The Sechel is the Ikeret, right? It's like got this primary place. At the same time, as we emphasized yesterday, it's not the be-all, end-all, right? We want to generate emotions. My kid, Shafa, she shared with me a cute joke, saying whatever. It's not exactly on point, but it's too cute not to share. That for Breslov, that every Jew has a nekuda balev. Right? Every Jew has a nekuda. Every Jew has a nekuda. Every Jew has this point. Right? The Breslov emphasize that every Jew has a point. Chabad emphasizes that in every point is a Jew. Right? In every nekuda is a Jew. In every Jew there is a nekuda. And every nekuda, and every single point, in every single possible place, there is a Jew. It's just cute. We need Breslov and Chabad together. The reason why it came to my mind is because the point is to have these points in our hearts, right? Not just in our head, but in our heart. Okay, so that's again what we're learning about today. So we introduced all the soul powers yesterday, and now we're taking the soul powers and really saying, okay, so what does it look like when I use them? When I'm using my chokhmah, when I'm using the control center, right? What's up? Right? What's flashing up there? Thoughts of God. So, okay. So what are the general thoughts of God? כי השכל שבנפש המשכלת, כשמתבונן ומעמיק מאוד בגדולת השם. For when the intellect in the rational soul, right, the soul is called a rational soul because, as you said, Malka, the rational, these kochot of Chochmah Bina Dat are the mainstay. So when we immerse it, when and immerses itself, the intellect, exceedingly in the greatness of God. So what does it mean to immerse ourselves in the greatness of God? Right? So you can just think God is great. You already have your Chochmah Bina turned on, right? If you do the work, God is great. God is great. The Alter Rebbe gives us specific ideas, right? That all express the greatness of God in different ways. And there are terms that come up again and again in Chassidut, Dr. Rebbe doesn't even define them here. Probably he assumes that we know what they mean. We'll introduce them, and then B'ezrat Hashem, Knas Elisheva, we'll have lots of opportunities to revisit these concepts. What are they? Eich hu mimale kol almin. I'll write it on the board in a second. V'soviv kol almin ukula kamei kula chashiv. 3 different ideas about Hashem, 3 different ideas about the greatness of God, each one expressing more greatness. Okay, so it's kind of like this escalator of ideas about God. Hashem, great. Hashem, greater. Hashem, greatest, so to speak. Okay, so what are these ideas? Because we just want to catch them already the first time. So the next time they come up, we're already, somewhat familiar. So
is this what we're meditating upon?
Exactly. Yeah, these are examples, right? These 3 examples include any thought you can have about God. It's going to fit into one of these 3 categories, generally speaking.
Through our depth.
We haven't through our chachma. We're meditating, right?
Yeah.
We're using our mind to. We're gonna talk specifically about that at the end of today. In Dat, we're not trying to understand the concepts anymore. And Dat is its own koch. Need help with the spelling.
Just out of the aleph instead of hey.
Thank you. And here,
Like that, and then with a hey.
again. Okay, I'm gonna go back.
That's good.
Hey. No. Okay. Okay. So Hashem is Mimale Kol Amin. Hashem is Saviv Kol Amin. Hashem is Kula Kamei Kol Chashi. All truths about Hashem. These are ideas. These are flashes. Right? I'm going to translate them and explain them as Hashem. But these are all different ideas that will first and foremost appear in our chokhmah. Right? When I open my mind through my koachma, right, through the koach that I have to be in what, right, to be in wonder and amazement and curiosity, any of these truths, any of these ideas can flash in my brain. That's a chokhmah experience, right? Again, I'm going to explain them in a second. And then I use my bina to contemplate any one of these ideas and allow the idea to percolate, to develop, to bring it down, to give it breath. That's all a bina experience, again, with any one of these concepts. So what are these ideas about Hashem? Mimale kol almin. Elisheva.
Encompassing the world?
That's this one.
Oh.
Right? Mimale kol almin, limale or limalot is to
fill all the world.
Exactly. Mimale kol almin is Hashem as He fills all the worlds. Exactly. As Hashem as He fills all the worlds. The mashal, this idea of Hashem filling the world, it's kind of like the soul fills the body. So everybody has a soul. Don't think godly soul, animal soul, just in general, like your spirit, like your life source. Your soul, your psyche, right, fills your body. In other words, it's present in each and every limb, in each and every body part, and by extension in each and every cell, right? Specific to the capacity of that body part. So my soul fills my eyes, right, and gives my eyes the capacity to see. My soul fills my ears in a way that is ear-like, right? My soul is there, my life. My spirit is in my ears. My spirit is in my ear. My spirit is everywhere inside of me. And specific as to that part of me. So Hashem, right? Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is in every single aspect of creation, as per that particular entity. And again, when we say Almin, it means that we're talking big, because we're not only talking about Hashem as He fills this table, and this chair, and this body, right? But also Hashem as He fills the world of Atzilut, and the energy that is there, and the world, the consciousness of Bria, and the souls, and the angels that are there, right? Hashem is inside, filling up the life of each and everything in its specificity, in its details. Everywhere you look, every detail, every facet, Hashem is there. I can think about that. And I can go on, meditating on the greatness of God as He fills, as He squeezes Himself to be present in each and everything, giving life to all the details of creation. Now imagine that we actually sit and reflect on an aspect of Hashem as He is Mamalik Alami. You can meditate on anything, right? You can think about how Hashem is He is inside of me, right? Because I'm an example of Almi. I am something that exists. And Hashem is inside of me, filling me up, right? I can pashut, be in that thought and in that contemplation and be with it. And I will ultimately birth in motion. Sovev kol Almi. What?
He'll travel with that.
Ken. Sovev kol Almi is Hashem bigger than that. I mean, I'm using the word bigger. Just, again, Hashem, bigger, smaller. It's all us using words, right? Hashem in Sovev kol Almi is Hashem as He, as you said in Sheva, surrounds. Hashem transcends all the worlds. Hashem transcends all the details. Hashem in His infinitude is bigger than the details. He is transcendent to. Whereas Hashem, He is beyond. Right? Hashem, this might complicate things, might not. It's true as well. Story regarding Sovev kol Almi. Hashem is the isness of everything. Right? Beyond the details, the isness. Hashem is transcendent. Hashem is so big. Hashem is so infinite. Right? He is. He is, and He is the isness of everything. Not the details. The bigness. Right? The essentialness. The isness. And then Kula Kamei Kula Chashiv is beyond both of these aspects and true about Hashem. Kula Kamei Kula Chashiv means that everything is like not compared to Hashem. Hashem is so big. Hashem is so transcendent that everything, these Almi, creation, the universe, is like nothing to God. Hashem is beyond, 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 and there's more beyond this, beyond that. Okay? So our ideas about Hashem that continue to surface and throughout Tanya, throughout Chassidut, any Chassidut, right? These ideas are always there because this is Hashem as we know Him, so to speak. Okay? So these are general ideas that we could and should contemplate.
Could you say the last one again?
Yeah. Literally means that how in His presence all creation is considered as not. Kula kamei kila chashiv. Everything is considered as nothing. Everything considered as nothing before God. There is no world. There are no worlds. There is no creation. There is no isness to creation. Not even on the most general level. Because Hashem is so beyond.
Question.
Yeah.
Is Sovev, can I think about it visually or better not to? Is it a physical thing or more of a spiritual thing?
Can you think about Hashem's presence visually? That's the question you're asking, right? We're describing Hashem in these three ways. These are all true about Hashem and His presence.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to think about Hashem's presence visually.
I guess not.
Okay.
Okay. Sovev is larger than Mimalim.
When we think about Hashem in Sovev, you're thinking about Hashem even greater. He's even more infinite, even more beyond. You can write those words down, right? Greater meaning beyond, meaning infinite, transcendent.
Filling all the world is already infinite. There's even more than that.
It's not Hashem in His infinite. It's less infinite because Hashem, as He is in the details, there's a lot of tzimtzum there. Hashem is making Himself smaller,
Okay, fine.
right? Just like my soul is getting smaller to be in my ears and to be in my eyes.
Got it. So that's Tzimtzum.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Right, nachon. We're referring to Hashem in ways that describe His more. Yeah, you can think about it in terms of more tzimtzum. Hashem over here is tiny bit of tzimtzum, transposing Ein Sof and just bringing it into the world. So there's a little bit of tzimtzum, but pretty infinite. And over here, either there's no tzimtzum. Okay, so we think about Hashem. Any aspect of Hashem, Hashem in His greatness, Hashem even greater, even more infinite, even more transcendent, even more infinite. And again, imagining we're actually thinking, right? We're actually using our chokhmah, we're using our bina on Hashem. Noda v'nitorah midat yirat haromemut b'mocho machshavto. We're going to start to feel. Upon contemplating and immersing oneself in any of the above mentioned aspects of God's greatness, the midah of awe for the divine majesty will be born and aroused in one's mind and thoughts. When I think about Hashem is so infinite, so transcendent, so beyond, I feel awe. Right? Wow, Hashem is powerful. Right? Wow.
Imagining the Hasidim telling Alter Rebbe, I don't feel close to Hashem, what should I do? This being the answer to one of the questions.
Right. Can.
To do the work.
Right? It's the beginning of the beginning point of any work. Beautiful. I like you're connecting it to the introduction. It's beautiful. And there will also be born a dread of God in his heart. Now, when we're talking about pachad, right, or the other lashon is yirah, that's the emotion of gvura. We have chesed, gvura, tiferet, right? So we're already like looking at our control panel of our soul powers, right? We started with chokhmah and bina, and what happens? Our gvura is activated. That's how it works, right? It's a system. Our soul is a system, right, of powers, and it works this way. V'shuv yitlahev libo ba'ava azah kirishpei esh. Right? Alter Rebbe says first you'll have fear and then you'll have love, which also works with everything we study in the Divot Shalom. And Alter Rebbe describes with various leshonot the love, because when we realize that Hashem, who is so great and so beyond, is concerned with us, is taking care of us, is present in my existence. Like my soul fills my body. It's like the emotions are going wild. You know, we've got awe, we've got love. Zat Hashem, the whole spectrum. But the love is nuanced. There's a number of different kinds of love that we can feel. And Alter Rebbe is pulling these words from Midrash Rabbah. Miller brings us the whole quote and explains it on page 60 from the Midrash. והאהבה עזה כרשפי אש, וחשיקה וחפיצה ותשוקה ונפש שוקקה. This is a heart that's on fire, right? This is a heart that's in love with God. His heart will glow with an intense love of God, like fiery flames, with a passion, desire, and longing, and a yearning soul. So it almost sounds like synonyms, right? But again, as Miller points out from the source, from the Midrash Rabbah, and also Manis Friedman spoke about how each of these loves is a direct result of each of these contemplations. So it's nuanced, you know, depending on what aspect of Hashem you're thinking about, a different dimension of love is going to be fashioned in our heart. We can be experts. We can become experts, right? Bezrat Hashem, you know, first level is to experience love. Maybe at the end, if we have time, we'll read it inside. L'gdulat ein sof baruch hu. Each of these expressions, fiery flames, passion, and so on, denoting a different grade of love towards the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof. Vihi klot hanefesh. And love, in its raw, state, this love that we're describing, yearning soul. I'll just read the last piece here. Chafitza represents an even more intense state where, unlike physical desires which subside when you are satisfied, your desire for God never diminishes. And this is a quote. And upon completing a mitzvah which may come your way, you are not satisfied by what you have done. On the contrary, now you have a stronger desire. More, stronger. It grows every time you try and satisfy the desire. You have more desire. Now, just to go into this for a second, when we talk about satisfying the desire, what are we describing? Being in love with Hashem, right? Because when we think about Hashem and we birth an emotion of awe and fear, and then love comes up next, I want to be close to God. That is what love looks like. That is what love feels like. When we love someone or something, right? Because we appreciate that they're good and we appreciate that they're close or that they're distant, but in relationship with me, caring about me, right? I want to come close to them. How do I come close to God? By doing his mitzvot, right? So the love directly brings me into fulfilling the positive commandments, right? I love Hashem, so I want to be close to him. My husband, I want to be close to him. How do I be close? How do you be close to somebody you love, right? By being in connection with them. So how do we be in connection with Hashem? By fulfilling the mitzvot. That is our point of connection with God. That is how we be close with him, right? So when you meet somebody on the street and you offer them Shabbat candles and they say, I light Shabbat candles in my heart, right? What do I need the candles for? It's like, that's beautiful, and you might be having a very spiritual experience, but you can't be close to God without connecting with him in the ways that he wants to be connected with, right? In the opportunities he's given us to actually be close with him. So we want to do the mitzvah, but what this is pointing out is we do a mitzvah, and when our love is of chafitza nature, intense love, like with a passion. I think I'm translating correctly. Like they translate chafitza as passion, right? It's one of these kinds of love. We do a mitzvah, and it's not sad. The love is not satisfied. It's like, okay, good, nice, very good. Now we're close. No, now I have even more desire to come close, and I'm not close enough. I need another mitzvah, right? I want to come even more close because the love is so pure, is so whole, is so godly. It's not like a physical love. Okay, so vihi klota nefesh, ketichtiv nichsafa v'gam kolta nafshi v'gomer, uchtiv tzama nafshi lelohim v'gomer, uchtiv tzama lecha nafshi. Later he brings us a number of quotes from Tehillim, right? From Tehillim. My soul longs for you. Indeed, it faints. My soul thirsts for God. And again, my soul thirsts for you in different prakim. And so this is the experience of love being turned on. Again, because we did the work. Chachma and Bina. We'll mention that soon. V'hatzimaon, and so being in love, being in thirst, right? I love Hashem. Hashem is so good. And he's far. I'm so thirsty for him. That's a kind of love, right? I'm thirsty for him. I want. How can I get closer? That experience is of the element of fire. Remember we spoke about how everything is comprised of 4 elements? We spoke about the animal soul. The fire in the animal soul brings us into great arrogance and great anger. Right? Rising in arrogance and rising in anger. So the fire of the godly soul brings us more and more into love, more and more into thirst, more and more into longing, more and more into chafetza, into passion. That is the fire of the godly soul. And it's in the heart, right? It's where our emotions are brewing and burning. Sorry, I skipped a line. וכמו שכתבו הטבעים, וכן הוא בעץ חיים, שיסוד האש הוא בלב. And Ken, the scientists, and also and in Etz Chaim, right? Yes, the Yesod HaEsh, there is fire, element of fire is in the heart. And so what do we have to offset the fire? Because fire is very consuming, right? If something is on fire, then it will expire. It will turn to ash. So we've got fire, we've got literally the spiritual element of fire in this love and maybe even awe. I don't know. Specifically, he's talking about the love. So we have the mind. Let's come back to our Chochma Bina. Right? So Chochma Bina, the Seichel is the element of, guess.
Wind?
Huh?
Earth or wind?
Well, I'll give you another clue. We have to deal with the fire. Water. Okay. Water. Water is cool, calm. I mean, unless it's not calm. But right? Water is different to fire.
Isn't it the wind, like the ruach that's in
The mind.
yeah?
The mind can.
Water feels like the heart.
I think that I think to answer the questions, I think that there's all in all, right? There's itkalalut, but the question is which is predominant, right? So the mind is considered cool and calm and collected. We have composure, and that's more of a water element. You have to rethink water. And so, while the source of the elements of water and moisture is in the brain. וכמו שכתוב בעץ חיים שער נון, שהיא בחינת חוכמה שנקרא מים שבנפת אלוהית. חוכמה specifically is referred to as water, and that is the חוכמה of the nefesh elokit that is able to manage and monitor the fire. Because ultimately, as this is kind of hinting at here, although it's not the topic of conversation, but באמת, if a person, the Alter Rebbe is telling us that we can, the Beinoni can have so much love for Hashem that he is b'kalot hanefesh, is going to expire. Can? But what I was thinking about it and thinking like it's here already in chapter 3 of Tanya, like this is a level that we can reach. Like it just dawned on me for the first time in a way that felt like, because every time we learn the Tanya, it's like we're learning this, that the Alter Rebbe really is speaking to us. And so this is, always thought like, okay, yeah, it's something we talk about, right? But, okay, it's something we're bemet learning about. That's right here in chapter 3. We can love Hashem so much. But the water, the chokhmah, is going to resolve the matter and say, Hashem doesn't want you to expire in love. Hashem wants us to serve him. So we contain ourselves. Okay, ושאר המידות כולן הן על ענפי היראה והאהבה ותולדותיהן כמו שכתוב במקום אחר. So here too, the Alter Rebbe is not going to elaborate on the other emotions because he tells us again that they are all derivatives, all the emotions are all derivatives of love and fear. So those are our primary emotions, those are the ones we focus on in the Tanya. Activating our love and activating our fear of Hashem. Okay, but we're not done. We're not done chapter 3 because we're talking about our soul and delving into our soul and realizing how we really can develop a relationship with Hashem with our soul, how we really can process and function as an active Jew. So we need to talk about dat, because dat, as we're going to see, is what really makes the emotions stable, is what makes the emotions real, gives them energy. So what is dat? Dat is not understanding. Dat is not intuiting the concept. Dat is not understanding the concept. It's not brainy. Dat is attaching ourselves. Right? Dat milashon hitkashrut. So see. Lashon hitkashrut v'hitchabrut. Dat is where we attach ourselves to the idea that we already understand. If we don't understand an idea, we can't even try to hand dat around it. We need to know it, have the flash, put it on the board, understand it, and now once we understand it, we don't have questions anymore, intellectual questions. Now we can attach ourselves, affix ourselves, concentrate on the idea, focus on the idea. That's all called attaching. And when we do that, now we're allowing the idea to become one with us. Right? In other words, to synthesize the idea so that I've become it. Right? It's not a concept anymore, it's me. Yeah.
We're activating fear and love of God by doing this beautiful work. But the 7 emotional spheres down below, like it doesn't say
The 6.
fear and love.
The 5, yeah. After Chesed Gevurah Tiferet. Chesed Gevurah Tiferet are the first of the 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not. Okay, yeah.
Then those 7, do all those 7 represent fear and love?
Yeah, yafeh. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They're derivatives of.
Okay.
In other words, just like we said, Chokhmah and Bina are the father and the mother, or they're all sort of mothers of the emotions.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the emotions, love and fear are the mothers, so to speak, of the rest of the emotions. Right? Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet are the emotions, the mothers of the rest of the emotions. So there are 5 more, right? That we're not really mentioning. Ken. But the Alter Rebbe is not mentioning them here because he's telling us that it's enough that we just work on our love and our fear for now. Because if we do, then the rest will follow suit.
Got it.
So Leah, when we think
Yeah.
about attaching to something,
Yes.
it already sort of makes you think that you're invoking your emotions and your actions to attach. For example, suppose you're thinking about tzedakah,
Yeah.
or the idea that one should, I don't know, I'm just making this up,
Yeah.
but if you're thinking about the idea one should give tzedakah, but
Yeah.
am I understanding like maybe the flash would be going to Bina and then da'at might be like having it readily available, that you're constantly, it's so integrated in you that the thought is available, but it's not necessarily talking about the action or the emotion yet.
Right.
It's just
Right.
that the thought becomes more just easily accessible to you.
Can. Yeah. I think what you're saying is correct. And the thought in this case, again, is a thought about Hashem. It's a thought about Hashem. Right? It's very about Hashem. That's the tochen. Right? And now I attach myself to any specific thought about Hashem. Again, these are general ideas. Right? So for example, Elisheva asked, let's continue learning inside and then we'll jump back to a question Elisheva asked yesterday and also what you're saying, which is bringing it down. So I just want to finish inside. V'hadat hu milashon v'hadam yadat chava. So what is this word dat? Right? This soul power that's called dat, what is it? It's not chokhmah, it's not bina, it's not an emotion. What is it? Well, dat is from the word yada. Right? Yada is to know in the context of an Adam knew Eve. This is our association with the word dat. Yada, to know. But it's an intimate kind of knowing. It's an attaching kind of experience. V'hulashon hitkashrut v'hitchabrut, attachment and union. It's that kind of, that's what da'at is. That's what it means, yada, right? To attach to. Not an abstract kind of knowing, but in a close, unifying with. That's what da'at is. It's to unify with. What are we unifying with? We're unifying with the ideas. We're attaching to the ideas. How do you attach to an idea? By concentrating on it, by focusing on it. שמקשר דעתו בקשר אמיץ וחזק מאוד, intense and אמיץ וחזק, strong, right? I know Esther, how would אמיץ וחזק, firm and strong. I don't know the nuance between these two words. ממש strong. ויתקע מחשבתו בחוזק בגדולת אין סוף ברוך הוא, ואינו מסיח דעתו. It's hard to have da'at. To use our koach, we have this koach hadat, but it's not something that people are used to. We say hasachat hadat, right? We have hesach hadat. Our dat is all over the place. It's fickle. Don't focus. Women. Nashim datan kalot. We don't do this necessarily naturally. The beautiful ways to explain what we do have as women, right? That's the sweet ways to explain how, what does it mean that our dat is kal? Right? But anyhow, literally to have dat is to focus. You can't focus when you're multitasking. It doesn't work. I feel like I haven't focused on anything the past 20 years. Quoting you, kind of. Right? Because to focus, you actually have to free your mind. You have to free your hands of stuff that you're holding. You have to free your mind of stuff that you're thinking. You have to just fixate. Right? To just unify with one idea. But it's the only way to birth a real emotion. After we will continue to say that any emotions that come through, you might have emotions without dat, but they're illusions. They're not stable. They're not have vitality. Okay, ויתקע מחשבתו, אינו מסיח דעתו. כי אף מי שהוא חכם ונבון בגדולת אין סוף ברוך הוא. You can be a big chacham. What do you hear in the word chacham? Which soul power? Chokhmah. V'navon. What soul power is in navon? Navon. Bina. Bina, right? Yosef HaTzadik, ein chacham v'navon kamohu. Right? He's chacham and navon. You can have chokhmah and bina, amazing capacity to intuit, right? To grasp new ideas and to understand them. But b'gdulat ein sof baruch hu, around Hashem, not just in general, but mamash, you have chokhmah and bina. You're using chokhmah and bina of your godly soul. Hine im lo yikashir dato. But if you don't do that, if you don't have hitkashrut, if you don't attach to the idea, ויתקע מחשבתו בחוזק ובהתמדה, with intensity and consistency. We have to keep it going as well. Not just intense, but also consistent. Lo yolid benafsho yir'a va'ahava amitit. We won't have real love and fear. Ki'im dimyonot shav. False beliefs, right? The idea of love and the idea of fear, this illusionary love and fear, it's not real. And so therefore we can say in the positive that dat is the kiyum, it's the stability, it's the mainstay of the midot and their vitality. Right? And when we do have dat, then what comes through? Love, and this is the answer to, and her branches, right, which is the whole right side, and fear and her branches, which is the left side. Additional questions before we go into split, like the examples we were going to talk about earlier? Esther, what do you think?
I think you answered my question.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen the Rav in that, like of Ginsburg, where like the Hasidim or Malachim, they'll be speaking and they like attach themselves to an idea of what he's saying about God. Is that somebody in that?
That's a good question. I don't know. My hunch is no.
No?
Because while someone's speaking and you're listening, the most you can be in is Bina. Dat is in silence. I don't know. I don't know. Yes, if a person's in dat, they're in dat. But we don't want to confuse dat with Bina. I know, like when I'm learning, right? I'm using my koach of chochmah and Bina to understand. There isn't so much space to do the work of dat. Maybe a person can get very good at it and they could do it very fast. I mean, not maybe, for sure. So if a person's accelerated in their kochot nefesh and they can do dat quickly, then it could be that between the words they have enough strength of character to have dat, to be chochmah bina dat as you're moving along and listening to the share, right? Am I responding to your question?
Yeah.
The way that I think of dat, maybe because I'm not so developed yet, is I need space and time. But again, it would depend on how developed a person is. But you're right, because every once in a while, like just going back to an experience, Dafka, you mentioned the Rav, like I'm listening and I feel like I have something is brewing emotionally. It's not just staying in my head. Maybe I had a little flash of dat. Is the emotion gonna last? Like, was my dat enough? Right? Or is it just what the author is talking about? It's like, it's kind of an illusion. Like an emotion came through, but it's an illusion of an emotion because unless you really put in the work, it's not really there yet. And what's really there? You want to be a Beinani. You want to be a Beinani. You want to be running after mitzvot to the exclusion of averot. Ken, Esther.
Well, I don't know. About what you said, I'm feeling that Dafka, the space is more about the Bina to understand, but something in this interaction, maybe it's not holding that space very long, but is Dafka, yes, that from the Hitkashrut kind, I don't even know what is, I can't understand with the Bina, but there is this Hitkashrut kind of thing. So
yeah,
you're right. Maybe us common people can't really. It's touching it and it's not really staying there. But.
Right. Interesting. I feel like what you're getting excited about is the word hitkashrut, perhaps, right? Yeah. Because when you hear the word hitkashrut, you think about relationship, right? Just being in a relationship with the Rebbe. I'm in hitkashrut. Nachon? Like, and I'm in hitkashrut.
But I'm having dat of Hashem as I'm in hitkashrut.
Yeah.
I'm one with the idea.
Right.
That might not be that.
Right.
It's more
Yeah. Listen, these terms, like we're learning them here, and they're like absolute, pristine forms that we get it. Be'emet, be'omek. Right? And then it's like have a party, you know? You can have letters of dat and pure game, whatever works.
I mean that they